Hi guys, I'm back. Okay, I have to make this really quick. Some information was given to me with regards to two things. President Trump's executive order and what it means for victims in this program. When you look at the wording of executive order under Trump 13818, when you look at the wording of this executive order, it specifically correlates to this program. Okay. So again, the executive order, it's in the link below, the information below. It's 13818. Okay. And then the second thing I want to quickly talk about is Satellite AR. I'll put Satellite AR first. Satellite AR is an app. It's a real-time app, and what it does is it lets you know in real time what satellites are directly above you. And if you're traveling, let's say you travel from one city to another, it'll be able to show you the satellites that are traveling when you travel. Okay, so I ran the app. The name of it, again, the name of the app is down below. Okay, please do not post me 100 messages asking me what's the name of it and how can I find it. It's in the information box below. Open the information box below and you see the name of the satellite. What it does in real time is it lets you know what satellites are following you, what satellites are above you at all times, 24 hours a day. When I finally got the app and I downloaded it, I had 289 satellites over my head. Okay, 289 satellites. Is that normal? I don't think so. But I don't want to make any assumptions until I begin to maneuver this app a little bit more. Okay, so that's the first thing it does. It tells you the satellites that's directly above you. It tells you when you're moving from one area to the next, it tells you what satellites are moving with you. Okay, so if you see like 100 satellites above you in, I don't know, in Iowa, I don't know, and then you travel to California, and you find the same damn satellites in Iowa above your head in California, that tells you something. Okay, so this is something that you need to know, and this is something that you need to record, and this is something that you need to take pictures of and document. Okay, it lets you know in real time what satellites are above you, because those of you who are really advanced in this program, if you have no privacy, if people are relaying your information, especially if you don't have implants, I have implants inside of me. But especially if people are relaying back your personal information to you, you either have installations in your home that are monitoring you. Okay. B, you can have wireless body area networks, or WBANs, or wireless body area controllers, or WBACs, that's inside of you, or you're being monitored via satellite. Okay, so these are one of the three ways to know. Again, click the information box below. It will let you know the name of it, and you can download the app for free if you want a more in-depth, and it's a pretty in-depth app. If you want a more in-depth app from the same company, then you can go pro and you can pay for your services every month. That's the first thing. The most important thing that I need to share with you today, and I know a lot of you don't care, you believe that if you're in this program, you're in it for life, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe that. Okay, and that's just me. Okay, let's understand what an executive order does. An executive order from the president of particularly the United States, what it does is that it gives state agencies or federal agencies the authority and resources to execute specific functions in an executive order. Okay, so that's the premise of an executive order. Basically, it authorizes state agencies to do a specific task that is outlined in the executive order. Okay, I can't read the whole thing. It's about 6 pages and I have to run. Okay, but I'm going to give you some very important key elements of Executive Order 13818 and why it relates to this program. Now, I'm going to go into it really quickly, and I'm just going to break down some of the language, okay? By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, 50 USC 1701, Sequence or Esquire. That can be Esquire. I don't know the legal term for ETSEQ. Look that up. Okay, so it's IEEPA, the National Emergencies Act, 50 U.S.C. 1601, the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. Guys, get this. The Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. This is important. Why is this important? Let's look at the executive order. I, Donald J. Trump, interestingly, he's the president of the United States, and his name on legal document is in all caps. Okay? There's a meaning behind that, but I can't go into that right now. President of the United States of America, listen to this, find that the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source in the whole or in substantial part outside of the United States, such as those committed or directed by persons listed in the annex. There's an annex that lists 13 people, but that is different from this program. I don't know if there's any sort of interchange. We're not going to go into that. We're only going to go into this with regards to this domestic program. This is a global program, but its application in the United States and what it means for victims in these programs. Okay, I'm not talking shit, people. I don't deal with conspiracy. Okay, this program is real. People are getting abused. And what can an executive order do? I'm telling you how to interpret this and how to use this, and how lawyers no longer in this country can say this shit is not going on, because now they have a legal scope on a federal level that acknowledges this. Listen to the wording. Okay, listed in the annex to this order have reached such a scope and gravity that they threaten the stability of international political and economic systems. Why is that important? A lot of the victims in this program, like I said to you in a previous video, the amount of money it takes from an agency to monitor someone in this program is in the billions. Okay? And on a lower level, when you're dealing with street perps, it's in the hundreds of millions because they're being paid to do this. Okay? So it's telling you that the president is saying this is threatening economic systems. Okay? Human rights abuse, which is the foundation of this program, whether you're medically trafficked, whether you're technologically trafficked, whether you are domestically trafficked, whether it's sex trafficking, whether it's done via, whether you're trafficked through the media, okay? The scope is under human rights abuse. Okay, and corruption undermine the values that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies, have devastating impacts on individuals. Listen, have devastating impacts on individuals, weaken democratic institutions, degrade rule of law, perpetrate violent conflicts, facilitate the activities of dangerous persons, and undermine economic markets. Why is the economic aspect so important? The economic aspect is important in this program because there are groups of people who are literally making, and I'm not telling you this because I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't go into detail about certain things, but I'm going to just tell you something. There are persons who are making hundreds of billions of dollars a year from people who are illegally implanted. Let's get into further detail as to what the president outlined in this scope, in this executive order. The United States seeks to impose, listen to the language, tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuse, but listen, or engage in corruption. He's tying, there is a link between human rights abuse and corruption. Now, I am not talking about the scope in terms of politics. I'm not talking in terms the scope in terms of banking and finance. This executive order essentially deals a blow to the TI program. Get this in your head. What does this do? There is no federal agency that can deny that this shit is going on. Why do I say that? Follow me. I therefore determine the serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat to national security, foreign policy, economy. Why was I thrown into this program? I was thrown into this program because I went to a business meeting with someone about 2 technological products and came back out fucking implanted and monitored and tracked. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. Go on. Now it goes on to talk about what the federal level agencies, their scope of how they deal with this national emergency. Guys, don't think for 1 second this has not. People think they're going to associate it with certain things like politics. They're only going to look at this executive order in terms of politics and in terms of international accounts, accounts being made outside of your host country that you're not declaring. Guys, it goes deeper than that. It deals with this program because one aspect that it deals with is the technological aspect of this program, which is included in the scope of this executive order. Okay, so it goes on and it says that the property and interests of the persons that are in the United States that hereafter come within the United States, or any person coming in or whatever to the United States, what will happen to their properties. Okay, so you go on and you read that. But what's also interesting in this form is that it deals with, listen, it deals with corrupt government officials who take kickbacks. We're not just talking about things like the political aspect and kickbacks. We're talking about, in essence, how this program works. Okay, it's talking about government officials who actually, take kickbacks. It deals with individual responsibilities of individuals who go out and put people into these trafficking programs, because that's essentially what it is. When you end up in this program, you are, excuse my language, fucking trafficked. Okay, an entity, including any government entity. Now, what does this tell you? What does the scope of this executive order tells you? It's telling you, now, if you go to any government entity and you report these crimes, do not go to the government and report these crimes without hard evidence, okay? And then wonder why they're not taking you seriously. It hasn't trickled down to police yet, okay? So you can't just go to the police and say, look, I believe this is happening to me. If you're going to them, you have to take hard evidence, okay? But this is what it says. An entity, including any government entity that has engaged in or whose members have engaged in any of the activities described in subsections 2A, 2B1, or 2B2 of this section relating to the leaders or officials' tenure, or an entity whose property and interest in property are blocked pursuant to this order as a result of activities relating to the leader's office or tenure. And it goes on and it breaks on different subsets of this executive order. But what's important about this? It tells you about entities. It tells you government agencies. Because listen, guys, this fucking program is destroying the fabric of the United States. You guys just think, woe is me, I'm in this, No. Some of you don't just have implants in you. Some of you are being used in critical areas to get information. Some of you are being medically trafficked. Some of you are being used as moles, and you don't have a clue why the shit is in you. Okay? Some of you are being used to break down critical US infrastructure. Okay? So it's telling you here the link between human rights abuses and corruption whether it's done individually, an entity, or through governments. Some of you have said, we've gone to the police, we've gone to these federal agencies, and they've done nothing. The scope of this executive order deals with individuals in the government who perpetuate these fucking crimes that are being used to destroy the global financial market, that is used to be destroyed American companies, that are used to destroy the critical infrastructure of the United States. And it also deals with the fact that it destroys the very fabric of society, which is individuals' lives. Look at the link between human trafficking and corruption. Okay, so it goes on to outline. Okay, let me read this one. To have materially assisted, listen to this, to have materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material, are you ready for this? Or technological support for, like in my case, running around with fucking biomedical implants in my eye, in my sinus, in my ear, behind my ear, and in my pelvic area. I have 13 areas on my body where I have implants. That is technological. Because those implants have to be monitored, they have to be tracked, and people have to be paid to monitor and track me. Guys, you see the link? No federal officer can tell you you are no longer in this program, and this program doesn't exist. It does. It's outlined in this executive order 13818 by President Trump. It outlines the technological means by which they execute these corrupt acts. It includes officials in governments who take kickbacks to destroy the lives of people. It includes entities such as corporations, that is universities, that is business corporations, that is medical institutions that go ahead and do this shit. Financial institutions, because one of the things they do is they use the person's information to commit identity theft and commit crimes, and also take out insurance on the individuals. Okay? No fucking lawyer can tell you this program doesn't exist, because President Trump basically said to you, it exists, and he classifies it under human rights tied to corruption. Now, some of you are going to read it and argue, but it has to do with the 13 people annexed in this. It has to do with the 13 people annexed in this executive order. Okay, the scope of the executive order doesn't have to do only. Now they're darkening my hold on. They're darkening it. It's getting very dark, so, which is crazy. I have to run soon. The scope of this doesn't only deal with the 13 people annexed in this. So you think after they go ahead and the federal agencies have their powers to go after these 13 people, seize their assets, redistribute the wealth, etc., the executive order is over and human rights abuses are over? No, it deals with the executive order. The executive order deals with the relationship between these human rights abuses and corruption that occurs as a result of it. What are you in? What are you going through? It's the same shit. Okay? He just dealt a fucking major blow to this fucking program. Now, what does that mean for you? It means that the federal agencies, when you go to the federal agencies, you do not tell them that you're a TI. You tell them that you are a human trafficked victim. You tell them that you're being human trafficked. Okay, because the scope of this executive order falls under human trafficking. I never authorized to be implanted with this shit. I never authorized anyone to monitor me in private. I never authorized any medical institution to monitor me inside of my body. I never authorized anyone to put this shit inside of me. I never authorized them to go and hack my network systems. That's technological corruption, which is outlined in this. No lawyer can tell you it doesn't exist. Now, if you go to the lawyer and you tell the lawyer you're a TI, there is no law governing TI. But if you tell them under the scope of human trafficking, you have the weight of the federal government to go after them. Now, your job is to get proof, hard evidence, whether through a TI, whether through a PI, sorry, or through, sorry that I'm yelling, but I have to shake some of you and wake some of you up because some of you really believe you can never get any justice in the program. Okay? Those of you who don't believe you can get justice, go to another channel where they will keep you in the shithole that you're in. Because I am not going to live my life in this shithole. Okay? It goes on to describe, and I'm not yelling at you. I'm just shocked. You know, we have a fucking executive order here. What can you do with an executive order? It forces government agencies to apply resources to execute. That's what an executive order does. No federal agency, when you go to them and you tell them, I am being human trafficked via technological means, they cannot tell you it doesn't exist because it outlines it here. Okay? It outlines it here. It says, to have material, any person determined by the Secretary of Treasury in consultation with the Secretary of the State and the Attorney General to have materially assisted, sponsored, look at the wording, or provided financial, material, or technological support for or goods or services to or in support of the activity described in subsections 2A, 2B1, 2B2 of this section that is conducted by a foreign person, any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order, any entity, including any government entity that has engaged in or whose members have engaged in any of the activities described in subsections 2A, 2B1, 2B2 of this section where the activity is conducted by a foreign person, or B, to be owned or controlled, don't I know, or to have acted or purported to act or on behalf of directly or indirectly any persons whose property and interest in property are blocked pursuant to this order, or to have attempted to engage in any of the activities described in subsections 3A or B of the sections. Then it goes into prohibitions in subsections, and they want to deal with immigrant and non-immigrant to the United States, because a lot of what is occurring, I'm going to give you guys a little secret. A lot of you think what's happening to you is happening or being done by just American people. And a lot of people who are getting reports back are realizing that foreign entities are involved and foreign nationals are involved. Okay? I don't want to say too much about that, but there's a point I wanted to make. The point I wanted to make is this. If you are a legal resident of, let's say, the United States, or you're a citizen of the United States, you cannot become a legal resident of the United States without agreeing to the laws of the United States. You cannot be a citizen of the United States, even though there are criminals everywhere, without agreeing to the laws of the United States. It is not so with a visa. Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. It is not so with a visa. You don't have to swear to. This is a major loophole in immigration, people. This is a major fucking loophole in immigration. When you have a visa, there is nowhere to get a visa that tells you the country that you are entering into, you must abide by their laws. There is an assumption. There is an assumption that you'll abide by the laws, but there is no protocol for a person getting a visa to abide by any law within the country that they're entering into. Now, what is the correlation between this loophole using visas and this fucked up program? There are many people who discovered that their program was authorized by people living in the United States, but who are on visas or using visas as a means to commit these crimes. And they can commit these crimes, get their money, and head the fuck out of the country. Put two and two together. They are under no obligation when they get a visa to abide by any fucking law. None. They're here for a short period of time. And three, it's very difficult to trace their point of origin when they leave. Okay? So these are considerations that needs to be made. So what is the purpose of Executive Order 13818, and what does it mean for this program? Well, what it means, one of the things that it means, oh, hold on, let me just read something else. This is really good too. This is actually really, really good. The prohibitions in Section 1 include the making of any contribution to provide funds, because there are wealthy people who have paid for some of you to be murdered, okay, for whatever reason. And I know several people who, wealthy people, paid off police officers and paid off politicians to have the victim murdered so they can seize their monies. Okay. The making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services by, to, or for the benefit of any person whose property and interest in property are blocked pursuant to this order, and the receipt, of any contribution or provisions of funds, goods, or services from any such person. Any transaction that evades or avoids, has the purpose of evading or avoiding, causes a violation of, or attempts to violate. Why is this important, victims? Listen to what I'm telling you. Any transaction. Are you telling me this is not the fucking targeted program? This deals a major blow to this program. This deals a blow. There is no lawyer in the United States that can tell you this shit doesn't exist. And if you have the proof, there is no lawyer that cannot take this to court. How many of you had someone paid for you to put you in this program? Someone was paid to put you in this program, paid for you to be implanted, paid to monitor and track you, paid to murder you, paid to fuck up your life. How many? Listen. Any transaction that evades or avoids has the purpose of evading or avoiding. What is a transaction? The assumption is a deal, usually finance. Causes a violation of. How many of us have been violated? Or attempts to violate any of the prohibitions set forth in this order is prohibited. Then it goes on. Any conspiracy. Any conspiracy. May President Trump get 4 more years. How many of us have been fighting for this? We've been fighting for this. We've been fighting for this. No one believed us. No one believed us. Any conspiracy formed to violate. Conspiracy. They sit there and they tell you this program is a conspiracy. It doesn't exist. Well, here is what the federal lawyers are telling you. Conspiracies exist. Any conspiracy. I can't even, do you know how much work went into this? Do you know how much fucking work to get the White House to recognize this shit? Do you know how many victims died last year because of these fucked up people? I have to go. Do you know how many victims died last year because of these people? Do you know how many people go and they say this is a conspiracy? And no one believes them because it's a conspiracy. Well, the feds acknowledges conspiracies. Okay? And President Trump didn't write this. Okay? You need a human rights lawyer to write this. And you also need someone who knows government law to write this and put this together. And they acknowledge that conspiracies exist. Any conspiracy formed to violate any of the prohibitions set forth in this order is prohibited. Listen to this. Because some of you, it's one fucking person who threw you into this program. Okay, I have to go. I really have to run. But the term persons means, a person means an individual or entity. Some of you, it's a corporation. Some of you, it's a person. The term entity means a partnership, association, trust, joint venture, corporation, group, subgroup, or any other organization. Tell me. Go read it. Go read it. Guys, get your proof. Get your proof. Okay? Get your proof. Because now you have an executive order that clearly outlines what this program does. And there is no fucking federal agency that can deny you justice. None. Get your proof. Get your evidence. And go to fucking court. Have a great day, people.